fighting a long time, and we have all lost so very much, so many loved ones gone. But you are not alone. There are pockets of resistance all around the planet. We are at the brink. They pack a lot of firepower, but the T-600s are heavy and slow. They are primitive design.
Who is that?
If you can't outrun them,
I don't know.
then you have one option. Their motor cortex is partially exposed to the back of their neck. A knife to this area will disorient their tracking device, but not for long. Above all, stay alive. You have no idea how important you are. This is John Connor. If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.
John Connor. We gotta find this guy.
Hey guys, how you doing? Hopefully everyone had a great day. It is April 13th, 2020. It's a beautiful Monday outside. And I just want to first off say this is something that definitely does not come easy by any means. This is something that I've been putting off for many years. Something that you really don't want to put out there because you have people who depend on you, people who look up to you, people you're in business with. There's lots of risk. There's lots of things you can lose, lots of relationships to be lost, and to be honest, you come out looking like a nut job. I have clients, I have customers. The last thing I want to do and be and see as a customer or a client of somebody is hopping on to social media and seeing something from somebody I work with that is talking about being a part of what is called the program of targeted individuals. But it comes to a certain point where you have so much stress, so much anxiety, and so much anxious emotions that boil up that you have to get it out. You have to talk about it. And with it being in the middle of the coronavirus and the COVID-19 stuff, I feel like it is a perfect time to bring it up and talk about it because me personally, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of these situations in the near future. So with that being said, this has been extremely hard to do, something extremely hard to make, and I've been putting it off for years, not wanted anything to do with this because of my pride and because I know that it's going to freak a lot of people out. But two reasons. I have to do this for myself, and I also have to do it for other people out there who are looking for videos like this to reassure themselves that they are not crazy, they're not insane, they're not paranoid schizophrenic, and they can feel a little bit better about themselves knowing that they're not alone. Because to be honest, the only thing that has kept me going for so many years is being able to hop on YouTube, listen to someone's story, get chills and goosebumps, and say to myself, everything they just said, everything they just talked about has happened to me in some way, shape, or form, and I am so happy to know that I'm not alone. See, in NA and CA and AA meetings, you walk in, you're scared, you're alone, you're ashamed, you're depressed, and you look up and then you see tens of people, sometimes hundreds of people, and you start feeling better about yourself because then you can see that you are not alone dealing with this stuff. So hopefully that has an effect on people as well. Looking up targeted individual. What a targeted individual is somebody who is put in the dead center of crosshairs for multiple reasons. You can get put in this program by certain political views, by being outspoken, by being charismatic and having a good aura and lots of good vibes about you, a very creative, very influential person who can, talk to people and really uplift people. People who are entrepreneurs in business for themselves, who are doing well. People who have certain, posts on social media that are very politically, incorrect. Some people might find out some stuff and post something. Sometimes it could be friends or family. Other times it can actually be a parent who has done something in their lifetime, and to get punished for it, they can actually take a son or a daughter, put them in this targeted individual program, and that results in the parent getting punished because eventually that son or daughter will crush, crumble, and destroy the family by being tortured to death, basically, is what it comes down to. So what Targeted Individual Program is the final perfected result. It's the final product of what we've experienced in the past with Mockingbird, Paperclip, and MK Ultra. This stuff has been fast forwarded into now, and it's been perfected. It's been manufactured to A1 product, which results in lots of torture, lots of manipulation, lots of very crazy things happening to people digitally, physically, mentally, and in person as well. I've seen comments from back when I first started looking this stuff up, when I was wondering what the heck was going on with me. The comments used to be very hateful. They used to be very angry. They used to all say the same things. Shut up, go to work, you're stupid, you're crazy, you don't know what you're talking about, you're insane, go get help, you need medication. That's what everybody was saying. And then I saw the comments go from, this is interesting, let me get more information about this. Nowadays, you look up this stuff and you literally see everybody responding in the exact same way. This gave me chills, this gave me goosebumps, I can't believe I'm just now finding out about this, because I've had every single thing happen to me that you have had happen to you. Everything in your video has been the story of my life. I'm so happy I'm not alone. And that's all you see now. You hardly see any of the hate stuff going on anymore. The reason why people love to hate and not believe this stuff and really get angry and debunk this kind of thing isn't fully that person's fault. It has a lot to do with Hollywood, the music, arts, and entertainment industry and business, and many other platforms. But to be specific, Hollywood is the #1 reason, in my opinion, why this stuff is such easily debunked. Because for me, I have a handful of people that know about this stuff that I deal with, and whenever I talk about it and I try to, vent a little bit, it's like, yeah, all right, okay, hey, you want to go grab some lunch? And they kind of like just completely ignore what I'm saying. They don't want anything to do with it. Not that they really don't believe me, they don't want to hear it, because we've had so many things happen, so many things come up where it's easy for someone to say, bro, what are you talking about? I'm pretty sure I saw that in a movie somewhere, right? You just need to chill. It's very easy to say that, because indeed there are many movies about this. The Forgotten, The Good Neighbor, The Game, Fallen, Enemy of the State, Gaslight, The Man with One Red Shoe, and my two personal favorites, of course, The Truman Show and Unsane. Unsane was a low-budget, private film that was put out, in my opinion, is one of the most accurate depictions of what people like me and people like yourselves go through on a daily basis. Really good movie. They put this stuff out in video games, the Legos games, The Incredibles. This stuff is in the Legos Incredibles game 100%. They use butterflies in the game. They have, which is very symbolic to monarch elements and things like that. I won't go into any of that stuff, but there are lots of butterflies in the video game. There are lots of debunking aspects and elements in the video games, such as Legos, The Incredibles, cartoons and TV shows like Captain Underpants, the movie, The Office, and Stranger Things. Actually, all these things are reasons why people can so easily debunk things that we go through, because they can just say, bro, you're living in a movie, you don't know what you're talking about. So that's kind of a little bit of history there. So my story with this whole thing, whenever it all started, I was just a little kid. I was probably 4 or 5 years old. And my mom was a very outspoken, strong, human rights activist kind of person. If she could, risk herself and her well-being to save 10, 15 people, she was going to do it. She was working on a case against a company, and she was actually told that she should never do it. She'll never go anywhere. She'll never go to court, and she should probably just give up. She actually ended up in court. She actually ended up winning, not all the way, but she was winning. She had the momentum, and she was doing what everyone told her she could not do. And she was a very strong woman, and every time she would come home, she would tell me what happened, and she was in good spirits. But one day she came home, and she had this look on her face, and I could tell something was terribly wrong. And I didn't want to bother her, I didn't want to ask her, so I kind of let it alone. But I saw that cycle. So finally, I said, Mom, what's the matter? Are you okay? And I was like 4 or 5 at the time. And she says, I'm scared, and I don't know what to do. And she was, like I said, fighting against this company with all this proof and all this evidence of something, I'm not going to get into it, but something that was a pretty big deal at the time, and it's unfortunately still going on to this day. And I said, well, why are you scared? She said, I've been followed for the last week, and I wanted to know more, so I was like, followed how? What's going on? And she says, oh, they'll be here in a minute. So I'm looking, and sure enough, the craziest thing happened. There were 4 Hummers that pulled up in the front driveway on the street. And they just stopped. And she pointed at them. She goes, they've been following me for about a week now, and I don't know what to do. I'm scared, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't think I want to do this anymore. And sure enough, the next day, this time there was 5 and 6 Hummers that all went up. They stopped, crept super slow, and this happened for about a week or so. And I finally realized that this was real, and something was happening. So I'll never forget this day. My mom was crying. She had an accordion binder full of all this proof and evidence and paperwork that she had been putting together for all this time. She was crying, and she says, I'm scared, I can't do this anymore, I have to be done with this. And she put it in her closet. And she says, I have so much passion for this, but I no longer can do this anymore. And I asked, what more was going on besides the cars following you? And she had all these letters in the mail from the city of citations, bogus citations about, parking and tires and tree limbs and the grass and like license plate issues, like all these citations from the city where she was getting all these things. And on top of that, she was being followed by all these Hummers, and obviously she was being pushed into a corner to back off of what she was working on. And it worked, because she sat there on the floor with all of her paperwork, being pushed in the closet with tears in her eyes, saying, I have to give this up because I'm scared. That was my first experience ever as a kid with something that was dealing with things out of the ordinary. And from there, as I got older, I started getting involved in driving and getting out. I got a job, started experiencing a few things throughout, but never really put 2 and 2 together until when I was about 25 or so, 24, 25. No, actually, I was early 20s, sorry. I got a job at Guitar Center, and at Guitar Center, you get a really good discount. So I ordered a couple things, and to make sure that it all went through, I opened up my Chase bank account. And this is the first personal experience that I've ever noticed where something wasn't right. Here's my order, here's my purchase, my Chase bank account, and underneath is many other of the same transaction that has all been processed. So not only did I order, did my order get processed once, it got processed 5 times. And the thing about this program is they don't like you to have a job, they don't like you to have money, they don't like you to have an opinion, they don't like you to have a voice, they do not want you to influence other people in the wrong direction, and they want it to stay that way. So if you have money and if you have a job, those are the first 2 no-nos, the 2 things they go after. And then follows your mental health and all that good stuff. So with that being said, I went to the bank and I said, hey, I need you guys to reverse these 4 transactions, because out of the 5, only 1 is the one that I purchased. And they said, okay, pull up my account. Well, here. And they pulled over their screen. They said, what are you talking about? This is, you got this amount in your account. We only see this, 1 transaction at Guitar Center. We don't know what's going on. And I said, well, this is what I'm looking at. And their eyes got super big. They're like, whoa. And they grabbed my phone, they refreshed it, they logged out, they got back in, and what they were looking at was a completely different bank account from what they were looking at on their computer. They double-checked my account numbers, they double-checked my social security number, they double-checked everything, and they said, yeah, we have no idea what to tell you. Well, this happened a total of 7 times altogether. From different stores, different ordering, swiping the card, using it online for orders, using it in-store. It happened no matter what. And eventually what I had to do was use my card to buy a gift card for that place to use online for my order. That's the only way I've been able to get my card to stop being transacted 4, 5, and 6 times wherever I go. So I thought that was weird. So I kind of went home, regrouped, and was like, okay, that was weird. Let me try, going back to work tomorrow and see how things go, and hopefully I'll feel better. I had a group of about 6 or 7 kids. I'm behind the desk. Here's the desk. Kids line up in a half moon circle, and they just stare and look at me for a good 3 or 4 minutes. They're just staring at me. I said, hey, you guys need help with anything? What's going on? They just stared. They just stared at me and looked at me until they all finally turned around at the same time and walked out the door. That was the beginning of me knowing that something was going on between my Chase account doing what it was doing, between these kids coming in and staring at me and walking out, not saying a word. That was freaky. So I ended up kind of brushing that off, and went on my lunch break, came back, and there was a guy that came in. He said, hey, I'm looking for David. I said, oh, I'm David. What can I do for you? I'm working in pro audio at the time. And this guy says, hey, so I have this wireless system, and I have a couple questions on it. So he hands it to me. I have half, he has half. He won't let go of it. And I'm like, okay, well, let me help you. And he will not let go. So he looks at me and he says, hey, my name's David. What's your name? And I said, my name's David too. He goes, okay. I don't think I have any more questions on this. I'm going to go now. And he pulls it and he walks out the door. So at this point, my anxiety level starts, in my early 20s, and I start feeling weird. I start feeling different, and I start getting a little bit worried. So I go and I do some research on frequencies and Nikola Tesla and how to relax and all sorts of stuff. And I come across 7.83 hertz, which is what the Earth naturally vibrates at, which is 7.83 hertz. And I start doing a lot of research on Nikola Tesla, and I'm looking into frequencies, and I'm studying it all night. I go to work the next day, and the first guy that comes up to me, and he says, hey, quick question, what do you know about 7.83 hertz? And what you want to do in that situation is look at that person and say, what do you know, who are you working for, and why are you trying to ruin my life? But you can't do that because you know how you're going to look, you know where you're going to end up, and you know what medications you're going to get put on if you react that way. So I bit my tongue and I said, I know a little bit. Do you have any questions? I can help you with that. I smiled. He said, no questions. Have a good day. And he walked out. True story. At this point, I started getting phone calls. David, do you have a call line too? I'd answer the phone, and it would just be this frequency on the phone the whole time. And I'll say, hello, this is David, how can I help you? And it would just be this frequency. It was like a so I hung up. David, do you have a call on line 3? I'd answer, this is David, how can I help you? And it would be just people laughing hysterically on the other line. Just laughing hysterically, like for no reason. And I hung up. David, do you have a call on line 5? And I would answer it, this is David, how can I help you? It would be police sirens, just going nuts. Police sirens in the background. So then I started saying, okay, obviously these people know where I work. They know my schedule, they know what I'm doing. So I went to my manager and I said, hey, I'm going to be going, part-time here for the time being, and, I got to figure some stuff out. So I ended up getting another part-time job across the street at the mall at Vans, which is a skateboarding shop. They got shoes, clothing, all that stuff. And things started to get a little bit better. I started noticing a lot less of this harassment going on, a lot less of these situations happening, and I started feeling a lot better. So I was at Vance for a week. It was all good. I'd walk in, there would be Applebee's here, the main door here, and then a bench and a trash can here. And I was going in, and after about the second week of walking in, I started noticing this homeless man on the ground, and he would always say what's up to me, and I would always say what's up to him, and we were cool, and it got into about the third week of me being there. It was a sunny day. It was like June, and I was walking into work, and I went out of my car, and it was sunny. I looked up at the sky, and I sneezed. And I, was walking, and this homeless man looked at me, and he said, "Your mom should have listened to you all those times you told her you were allergic to the sun." I froze. I could not speak. I could not... No, I was petrified. I kept walking, but internally I was frozen. Because whenever I was 6 and 7 years old, guys, when I was 6 and 7 years old, it would be a sunny day outside, and I would go out and I would look at the sky and I would sneeze. My mom would say, "Why do you always sneeze for every time it's sunny outside? What's your problem?" And she was just joking. And I say, "I don't know, Mom. I think I'm allergic to the sun." She goes, "Oh, you're not allergic to the sun." And here, 20 years later, I've never told anyone this before in my life. I'm walking into a job I just got to get away from these people. And this homeless man is on the ground after I sneeze. And he says, "Your mom should have listened to you all those times you told her you were allergic to the sun." That's whenever I knew that I had a serious problem, a serious issue on my hands. Didn't know who to go to, didn't know who to call. Help, I'm going to go crazy. So what happened after that was I ended up kind of explaining this to my mom, actually. I was telling her the things that were happening to me. She went to the bank with me. She met the people at the bank, and they told her like, "Yeah, your son has some crazy stuff that we've never seen in a million years happen to him, and we don't understand what's happening. It's like he has 2 bank accounts, and he's seeing and having things happen to him." And like my mom was kind of getting on board, like, "Wow, yeah, my son is having some weird things happen to him." She is a very spiritual person. She chalked it all up to, "Well, you need Jesus. You need to talk to God." And, I wasn't totally against that. So my mom, I was on Facebook Messenger one night, and I got a message from my mom and said, "Here's this guy's name. Here's what he does. He's a great guy. He's a pastor at this church, and you need to talk to him and this and that." And I thought, okay, cool. My mom somewhat believes me. She's helping me. She's trying to be supportive, and I chalked it all up to that's kind of cool. A week later, I went to my mom's house, and she said, "Hey, did you ever contact the pastor that I sent you?" I said, "Well, how would I contact him? I don't have any of his information." She goes, "Yeah, you do." And she pulled up her iPad and she showed me her messenger. She had sent me a completely different message from what I had received in my inbox. She had included so much more detail. She had included his address, phone number, and email address. And I pulled out my phone and I showed her what I was looking at. And she kind of couldn't believe it. His contact information and all of the details that she had sent me had been completely censored from what I was being able to see. And I went a whole week without even knowing. So, from there, I start typing in all of these symptoms, all of these things that are happening to me. Bank account getting hacked, weird phone calls, this and this, and what pops up is targeted individual. And I'm like, what the heck? So I start doing research on it, and I start doing more research on it, and then I get hooked, and then I start feeling good because I'm not alone, but then I start feeling really bad because I realize that there's nothing I can do about it. So I hop on to Google and I type in all this stuff about, targeted individuals, what do you do? And then the first thing that comes up is you need pills, and you need to see a psychiatrist, therapist, doctor, and, you know, then all the ads pop up. Therapist, doctor, text now, call now, therapist, psychiatrist, all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh gosh, that's the last thing I need, because that's where they want you to go. They want you to be heavily medicated. They want you to go to these doctors, and it's done deal. It's game over for you from there, and I knew that. So I exited out of all that, turned my iPad off, and literally 2 minutes later, I got a phone call. This is David, how can I help you? Hi, I think I dialed the wrong number. I said, okay, well, have a nice day. You know, hung up, didn't think anything of it. It rings about 3 seconds later. Same person. Are you Dr. such and such? I'm not going to say the name. And I said, no, why? I don't know, because I could have swore that I called the right number, but I guess not. And she hung up. And I didn't think anything of it, but then it hit me, doctor. And I remember looking at my phone and saying you need to see a doctor, you need a therapist, you need a psychiatrist. And I just thought, that's probably ironic, because you don't want to get so sucked into this thing that you start believing everything is happening against you, because that's not the case. Some things are ironic. Until I got another call from a guy. He said, hey, is this Dr. And he said the name. I said, okay, this is the second call I've gotten. What's going on? Oh, I called her number. I'm in my voicemail, and I clicked on the voicemail and, you know, clicked on the link of her number, which is not at all your number. And okay, well, I'm gonna try again. I said, you know what? How about you go to Google, you type in your therapist or doctor, whoever she is, address and name, and why don't you click on the Google link to the phone number, and let's see what happens. He said, okay. So 3 seconds later, my phone rings. It was this guy. I said, didn't work. And nope, I got the same number. I said, who are you trying to reach? He goes, well, I'm just trying to reschedule my therapy appointment. I said, well, that's super weird. Yeah, you're the second call that I've gotten today, but I'm definitely not your therapist, and I'm sorry about the confusion. Hopefully you'll be able to get a hold of her eventually. And he said, okay, well, I hope you have a nice day. What's your name? I said, oh, my name's David. He goes, oh, that's my name too. Oh, okay. And I said, all right, well, see you later, David. He goes, take care, David. And that was the day that my phone was wired from a therapist, psychiatrist, doctor's office. It was wired from there to my phone, and I was receiving all of these calls. Not to mention the guy who called, who actually talked to me long enough to let me know that his name was indeed David. So from there, I started, chilling out a little bit and trying to kind of get some things together and understand that I just have weird things happen to me, and I got to be chill about it, or I'm going to end up in a hospital somewhere. And I get a call, from my little sister, and she says, hey, oh my gosh, you have to come out here and look at this. You have to come out here and look at this. I'm like, okay, cool. So I run outside, and I said, what are you looking at? She goes, look, there's drones. I'm like, they're not drones. They're airplanes. She goes, no, these are drones. And I said, how do you know? She goes, because they're flying in circles around the house, and they are drones. And planes don't do that. So I get to look, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're freaking right. These are not planes. They are drones, like not your Hobby Lobby drones. These are militarized drones flying around the house in circles. This happens for a year, every single night. Drones circle around the house every single night. And I didn't even notice it. My sister was the one who pointed it out and told me that it was weird and it was strange, and she was freaked out. So after about a year of this happening, they made a mistake. This drone got so low to the house that I was actually able to take a picture of it and get the make and model of this drone. Come to find out, it was a Phantom drone. It was a Phantom drone, and I actually called the company who made the drone, And I called them and I said, hey, is there any reason why there would be a phantom drone flying over the house every single night with 3 other phantom drones? And she quickly said, let me transfer you. She transferred me. That guy transferred me. That girl transferred me. Finally, I get over to a guy named Brad. I said, hey, Brad, is there any reason why a phantom drone would be flying over my house constantly on a nightly basis for a whole year straight? Well, how do you know it was a phantom? I said, because it got so low last night, I was able to identify it as a phantom drone. The picture on my phone definitely matches the Google picture online that says phantom drone. And he instantly said, well, let me transfer you. And he transferred me. The phone went beep and then click. Thanks a lot, Brad, for hanging up on me. So what happened was, fast forward into the next day at work, I went in. I now don't work on the sales floor. I now don't work at Vans, obviously. I signed up to be a music instructor, to teach drums and guitar and keyboard and lessons to kids in a confined, padded room where I give private lessons, and no one can mess with me. No one can talk to me. I don't get phone calls, so it was a much better fit for me to feel safe. The next day after I did that call with Brad about the phantom drone, I was in there giving a lesson, 4 minutes into it, with a kid, we'll just call him E. E's father went to the bathroom really quick. This guy took advantage of it. He hopped into my lesson, started playing the piano, took the drumsticks away from the kid I was teaching, we'll call him E, started playing his drums. I said, sir, you got to get out of here. This is a private lesson. What are you doing? And he just started talking nonsense, started talking gibberish. This kid's dad finally came up and he goes, what's happening? Like, Dave, are you taking care of this? I'm like, yeah, this guy's just now leaving. He's got to go. The guy was like, 1 more minute. Just started just doing nonsense stuff, playing the keyboard, playing the drums, talking about whatever he was talking about. Finally, I looked at him and I said, hey man, we're in the middle of a lesson. This kid's parents pay good money to have you get, to have these kids in here with me to get lessons, and you're interrupting. You got to go. He goes, well, I just wanted to come in here and introduce myself. My name's Brad. And he looked at me dead in the eyes like this, and he took my hand and shook it. He said, you have a nice day. And he walked out. Absolutely 100% true story. Now, it wasn't Brad who I was talking to on the phone, obviously, but he wanted to let me know that he knew I was on the phone with a guy named Brad, complaining about drones in the freaking sky hovering all around me. Listen to me, I do sound insane, but I know all this stuff is true, so I'm not tripping about it. He just wanted to come in there long enough to let me know that he knew that I was in conversation with somebody named Brad, and it was the weirdest thing. The father of this kid looked at me like, what just happened? And the kid was just like his eyes were so big, and he just wanted to play drums. But that really actually happened. From there, eventually, my best friend was my grandma. And this is the hardest one for me, guys. This is the hardest one. My grandma was my best friend. And her medication was getting, her kidneys and liver, and she was passing away slowly. And her last dying wish was to die at peace, at home, in her own home with her kitty cat. That's what she wanted. My grandma just said, I want to die at home with my kitty cat. I need my kitty cat, and I want to be at home. So we called hospice. We got a bed lined up. We got morphine drips lined up. And we got 2 nurses lined up, scheduled to be there the next day at 4 p.m. I got paranoid. I got scared because of all this stuff happening to me in my life. The last thing I want to have hacked and the last thing I want to have intercepted is my grandma's last dying wish to die at home. So I call again. Hey, just calling for Darlene Welsh at this address. Wanted to make sure that hospice was still lined up to bring the bed, to bring 2 nurses, and to bring morphine drips. Oh yeah, we got it all taken care of. We got your confirmation number here. We got all the paperwork. You're a done deal. We have everything we need. We'll see you tomorrow at 4. Okay, cool, awesome, I feel better. Called the next morning. Hey, just wanted to make sure everything was still good with the hospice bed for Darlene Welsh at this address. You know, morphine drips, hospital bed, 2 nurses. Oh yeah, we got you. We'll be there this evening for sure. Okay, who am I speaking with? We'll just call him L. We'll call him L. Okay, thank you so much. That makes me feel a lot better. So 4 o'clock comes. Nobody's there. 4:15 comes. Nobody's there. 4:30 call comes. I am flipping out because my grandma is scheduled to be there from the hospital around 5 o'clock, 5:30. And she is going to get taken into her house for her last dying wish to be with her kitty to die peacefully. I call hospice and I ask them, hey, where are you guys? They said, who is this in regards to? I said, Darlene Welsh at this address. We had a bed, we had morphine drips, we had 2 nurses lined up to come and help my grandma die in peace. We have no records of a Darlene Welsh. We don't know who you've spoken with. We don't have this address on file. We don't have anything, but would you like to start a claim now so we can be there sometime next week? I said no. But I really need your help right now because my grandma's on her way from the hospital and she needs a hospice bed, she needs 2 nurses, and she needs morphine drips. And this lady said, oh my gosh, yeah. And I told her, this has been planned for 2 days now. We've been told left and right that everything's taken care of and everything. And she said, okay, let me figure this out. Let me call you right back. An hour goes by. She never calls back. I call back and I ask, hey, I was just talking to such and such, and I am wanting to know what's going on about this hospice situation. Okay, what's the first and last name? Darlene Welsh. We don't have anything at all dealing with this. We don't know what you're talking about. We don't know who was trying to help you. I finally figured out what was happening. I finally figured out what was happening at that moment. And I'm on the phone with this person, and they're trying to help me at hospice. And I said, you know what? Don't worry about it because my grandma is in the front driveway right now in the back of an ambulance. I hope you have a nice night. Thank you. And I hung up. And I went out to the ambulance, and my grandma's in the back. And I said, hey guys, I have some extremely upsetting news. There's no hospice bed here. Hospice doesn't know who we are. They have no records of Darlene Welsh in their system. There's no morphine. There's no bed. There's no nurses. Can you guys please help me? Can you guys please help me? I don't know what to do. They said, well, legally we can't touch her. Legally we can't give her any medication, and we can't bring her in unless she has a hospice bed, morphine drips, and nurses. And I said, okay, what do I do? And they said, well, we have all the information right here. And they had a confirmation number. They had all the hospice paperwork, all saying that everything was supposed to be lined up at 4 p.m., They had it all right there. They said they're not inside. I said no, they never showed up. They don't even have any records of my grandma needing to go to hospice and die at home. Her only dying wish is to die at home in peace with her cat. And they said, we are so sorry. We've been doing this for 20 years and we've never had anything ever like this happen. We don't know what's going on. Let's make some calls. They were on the phone for 2 hours outside with my grandma sitting in the back of an ambulance. I'm really starting to hate ambulances at this point. I don't like them. They give me the creeps. Just get my grandma out so we can help put her to sleep. I go back out there, and they said, we have some terrible news. You're right. We have all the paperwork here, but hospice has no idea who we are, what we're talking about. It seems like everything's just been completely deleted out of the system. And there's no way that we can drop your grandma off here. And again, we can't touch her. We can't give her any medication legally. They said, in our 20 years of doing this, we've never seen anything like this, but we have to bring her back to the hospital. And she's going to have to die there. We're sorry to tell you that your grandma cannot die at home with her cat. That crushed me. Every single day for a month after that happened, after my grandma passed in the hospital, ambulances would run me off the road. they would cut me off. They would park in weird spots to where I knew they were there, and they were just on their phone looking down, texting the whole time. One time, I was going in an intersection, and an ambulance came right here and made me pump on my brakes and stopped right in the middle of the intersection with their lights flashing. And they weren't going to a crime scene. They weren't going to anything. They weren't going anywhere. They just wanted to stop and let me know that they were there. I would just be driving from my grandma's house, because I would feed her cats after this. I would be driving from my grandma's house, and they would just be behind me. You know, nothing going on at all. Lights would come on. They would come, one in front, one on left, one on right, and they would all just stop me in my tracks outside of University of Indianapolis just for no freaking reason. Just ambulances constantly running me off the road, constantly cutting me off, going to intersections, blocking the intersections, keeping their lights on while they just sat on their phone and texted. And this happened for a month straight, every day, every night, that I would leave my grandma's house from feeding her cats. On my way home, there would be an ambulance doing some crazy stuff to me every night for a month straight. That is no joke. So basically, from there, I started noticing songs. Songs would be playing wherever I would go. And I noticed this at Speedway. You know, I would go to the hardware store, I would go to Walmart, anywhere and everywhere I would go, there would be Boy George, Do You Really Want to Hurt Me? Do You Really Want to Make Me Cry song, which has a huge emotional spot in my heart. And that would be playing everywhere. If you've ever seen the movie Silver Linings, the doctor plays the song, and he goes crazy, and the doctor just said, "Hey, I did that on purpose because I wanted to see how it would make you feel." Boy George, a Boy George song would be playing at Speedway, at Wingstop, at Walmart, at the hardware store, anywhere I would go. As soon as I walked in, that song would play every single time. And it got to the point. This gets to the point, guys, where you eventually, you know, I've seen this in a lot of people's videos who post on here. It gets almost a little comical. It gets almost a little like loopy up here. And you're like, obviously someone's listening to me. Obviously someone has completely hacked my life. So let me talk to him. Hey guys, just to let you know, I think it's time to change the song. Anytime I go anywhere, it's the same song, Boy George. You know, Do You Really Want to Hurt Me? Can you guys please change the song to something else? Sure enough, I'm walking into work, and the song plays, Land Down Under from Men at Work, which is another very hard song for me to listen to. And I'm like, man, this right here, this is real. This is happening. So I get off work, and I go to Speedway, grab some gas, and over the intercom is Land Down Under by Men at Work. I go and get some groceries, walk into Walmart, boom, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, Men at Work, Land Down Under. And I'm like, okay, it starts really wearing on me emotionally and physically, and I'm just like, this is going to drive me insane. This is going to be the end of me. So I hop on there, and I just mess with them. I tell them a song that I actually really do like. So, you know, I get on my phone. I'm feeling crazy at this point. You know, stop playing this song. I freaking hate this song. Why don't you play another song? I just play another song, any song. I didn't give them any song, but they played another song that I really, really, you know, have a connection to, and it was "Who Can It Be Now?" I think that's also Men at Work. Who can it be now? Do, 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 do. And I started noticing that song whenever I was at work. It started playing on the intercom. And this is no joke. My coworker looks at me and he goes, "Man, seems like every time you come here and you're working, the playlist is completely different because they've never once played this song before." And he noticed it. I didn't even say anything. And I just played it off, and I was like, huh, that's super weird. Maybe I just bring the vibes when I come in, you know, because you either have to do that or you're going to go insane, festering and thinking about it constantly. But yeah, they were playing "Who can it be now?" over the intercom. And it was so out of the ordinary that even my coworker, who knows the playlist by heart, knows that that song's not supposed to be playing. He even said something to me. So, of course, I go and grab some food at Wingstop, for lunch, and the song comes on as soon as I walk in. I go, grab gas, of course it's playing there. Get groceries, of course it's playing there. And I do go into a situation where I do eventually end up in a psychiatric ward. And I'm on the Unit 5, and I'm not taking any pills or medication because I know why I'm there. I know what's happening, I know what's going on. I just play it cool, and I'm like, I'm just going to have to ride this out. And I'm at lunch this day, on my third day, and I hear this girl talking, and she is so intelligent, and she's saying things with such precision, and I thought she was an employee there, and I'm like, turn around, and it was a patient. I'm like, oh my gosh, she is just so smart. The thing she's talking about, she's asking people about the news and what's going on here and what's going on there, and something just hit me, and I'm like, I think this girl is exactly like me. We will call her S. And S, if you're watching this, feel more than welcome and free to comment on this, because you are amazing. I said, this girl's got to be just like me because she is smart. And I'm like, but she's in a different unit. Come to find out, she's in a psychosis unit. This girl is dressed like top notch. She's had a shower, which is very uncommon in a psych ward. She's not on any sort of crazy drugs. She's not drooling or passed out or asleep. Why is she in psychosis? So I'm like, this girl needs to come over to, I need to meet her. And sure enough, this girl, we'll call her S. I'm sitting there in the day room watching TV, and this girl comes in, and she's like, what's up? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to ease my way in there and strike a conversation eventually about this whole thing. And I was like, hey, I heard you talking at lunch, and I was just literally admiring everything you were saying, because you were one of the smartest girls I've ever heard speak in my life. And she was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Yeah, I don't even know why I was in the psychosis part, because I didn't belong there. And I said, yeah, I didn't think you did either, but I'm glad you're over here. We went outside, I had my vape, she had a cigarette, and she goes, I swear to God, this is the last time that these targeted individual freaks are going to put me here. And my eyes lit up, my jaw dropped. I said, excuse me? She goes, oh, nothing, it's just my crazy head. And I was like, no, I am in this same program, I am a TI. And she couldn't believe it. We had conversations for 2 straight days after that. And we were looking at each other one day, and I said to her, or she said to me, hey, do you think anyone else in here is just like us, but they're too far gone, they don't know it, because they are considered to be, paranoid, schizophrenic, manic depressive, bipolar, extremely crazy suicidal, or maybe they're in psychosis. Do you think maybe there's other people in here like us that are just too far gone, too heavily medicated? And I said, absolutely. And she goes, I agree. And she says, on 3. So I said, okay, 1, 2, 3, and we both said the person's name. It was both the exact same person we were both thinking of. Absolutely, yes. So I kind of got the idea of, hey, I'm getting discharged today, she's getting discharged today, so let me go to, I'll call him Mr. M. Let me go to Mr. M and, strike up a little conversation with him. I said, hey, Mr. M, I'm getting discharged today, but I just wanted to ask you a quick question. How many targeted individuals have you seen come into this place who say that they don't belong here? And he says, I've seen a lot. I've seen a few. I've seen a lot. I've seen a few. I said, well, which is it, a lot or a few? He goes, I know what you're talking about. He says, I know it's a thing. I know it's real. I know it's happening. But I can't go there. I don't want to go there. But what I can do is put on a movie for you. And he put on a movie called The Secret. And we watched this movie called The Secret. Well, I watched The Secret, and this other girl watched The Secret. And it basically is a movie saying that you are what you attract, that your good vibes, your good energies, you can manifest your outcomes by the way that you are portraying things and all that stuff. And after it was all over with and everything, I kind of talked to him and I said, so you do know that this thing is real and you're admitting to it. He goes, yeah, it is, but that's as far as I can go. I can't talk about it here. I can't talk about it now. I can't give you any more information on this stuff. But yes, I have met people with the exact same lifestyle, the exact same symptoms, the exact same stories as you and Miss S. And I acknowledge that it's real, but that's as far as I can go. And that was all I needed to hear. It made me feel good, but at the same time, it's still very, very, very frustrating. But since then, I've been in contact with Miss S. We are basically on each other's level. I would consider her to be one of my best friends. I come across a couple other people in there that I really, really, really enjoyed talking to and liking. I still talk to Mr. M, and I have actually found a therapist, doctor, psychiatrist, whatever, who specializes in targeted individuals. She put off all of her other work in all other categories, and she now works specifically as a targeted individual therapist, psychiatrist, and she can give you pointers, advice, and tips on how to deal with these everyday situations, you know, and it's definitely helped me out a lot knowing that I have that, you know, that outlet. It helps knowing that the person at this hospital that I was at acknowledges the fact that yes, I'm probably in this program and I am probably one of tens of thousands of people, but I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to get fired. Whenever he, you know, gave me that information and knowing that I'm not insane, it's very satisfying, but it's also at the same time a little depressing because you're like, now what? How do I get out of this? Because the end game to get out of this thing is you either drink yourself to death, you pop enough pills or pump enough heroin in you that you end up accidentally overdosing or dying, or you just straight up say screw it and commit suicide. That's the end game, guys. That's how this thing ends. That's how they want it to end. That's how it's designed to end. But the alternative is to just see another day and hope that eventually something will give. But anyway, that was my story. You know, again, my name is David Lee. This was my life story of being a targeted individual. I really thank you. If you watched this whole thing, I really thank you for watching it. I hope it helped if you were watching this to get some more advice and get some more reassurance on your end. But I also want to thank you guys for allowing me to feel better about this whole thing, because talking about it really, really, really helps. And everything I've said is 100% guaranteed true. It all happened. You know, there are 10,000 confirmed cases of people with this, and those are just 10,000 people who are aware, who know about it. There's probably a lot more. There's a lot who are too far gone. They've been heavily medicated, sedated, and put under paranoid schizophrenic categories, and that is not the case. Stay strong. I hope you guys have a beautiful day, and thank you so much for everything. There's lots of, there's meetups, there's conventions, there are seminars, there's workshops, there's lots of stuff out there that have thousands and thousands of people all gathering together to hear people talk about this stuff. And there's actually even a couple that you can go to where people are explaining the technology that they were hired to build, that they found out how it was being used, and they are basically apologizing to us. Like, I'm the guy that built all this stuff that is being used against you. I had no idea what I was doing at the time, but I realize it now. And he is basically standing up there on a stage apologizing and telling you guys, I am so sorry. I am here, and I am here to talk and help if I can. Like, that stuff is crazy. So, one last time, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. My name is David Lee. I want to one more time reassure: don't be a part of drinking yourself to death. Do not pop enough pills and pump enough heroin in your body to die, and do not commit suicide, because those three things are the end game. Right before that is going to be to sedate you, heavily medicate you, call you paranoid schizophrenic, and lock you in a mental hospital as a permanent inpatient. We don't want any of that stuff happening because there's already been too many cases where that has happened. So, keep strong, keep your head up. Because, one more time, again, I say this now after all these years of holding this stuff in and not wanting to put this out there. I say this now in the middle of the COVID and the middle of the Corona stuff, because I honestly think that we have been the guinea pigs for all these years. I personally think that we are going to be seeing a heck of a lot more of people just like us in the near future. I hate to say it, but I really do think that we're going to be having global targeted individuals, gang stalking, things being done remotely, things being done technologically. I think things are going to get weird. I really do, and I don't think that we've been put through this for no reason. I think that we're going to be seeing some changes and some real life stuff happening based off of the technology and the data that they have collected from targeted individuals like myself and like many of you out there watching. I don't know. Time will tell, but for now, stay strong, keep your head up, don't go where they want you to go, and just keep telling yourself to move forward, make progress, and try to smile if you can. So, love you guys. Take care.